and welcome to our podcast, Unmuzzled Conversations, where we are looking back on old Glasgow from the 1940s to the present day, covering subjects of the day. So today is episode 9, and we're going to talk about the long-standing rivalry between Glasgow and Edinburgh. My name is Christine. This is Stuart.
Hello.
This is Tommy, our lifelong friend, and
Hello.
Today that is what we are going to be talking about. So I would like to start, if I can, by a wee bit of history here that Google told me about how did this actually start. So how did the rivalry actually start? And according to Google, it started 300 years ago, when in 1656 it was noted that some of the council members in Glasgow were complaining about the quality of bread that was being baked for Glaswegians. So other people attending this meeting were bakers representing Edinburgh, and they said, we think we can solve that. We will do the baking for the Glaswegian people, but we will give you better quality. Edinburgh quality. And so they say, from there, the gloves were off. And that was it. So you're looking at a 300-year rivalry, and apparently that is how the whole thing started. So it was a bit like the Auld Reekie, because that's what I mean, do people call Edinburgh the Auld Reekie now? Not really,
I don't know if they ever called it that. I think it's a name for the Middle Ages, but I don't know.
Yeah. And the Deer Green Place. So I've done a lot of research for things, and Glasgow always comes up as being termed as the Deer Green Place. Did you tell me it was Latin for?
No, it was Gaelic.
It was Gaelic.
I'm sure Glasgow means that's what it means.
Right. Okay. So it says that this is one of the world's longest standing rivalries, and the difference between the two people and who they are is very much a long-standing talking point. Although we're only 45 miles away, that the difference between us is night and day. So let's start off with the pandas, because that's just what we're talking about. Let's just start anywhere with that.
Well, just I kind of thrown it back to the football thing we were talking about you know, the Edinburgh, for some reason, they thought it was worthwhile explaining to the world that they were the gay capital of Europe, and then it developed into the AIDS capital of Europe. So they bring in a couple of pandas, hoping to breed the fuckers. And I'm thinking, they must have picked up the vibe, because they were there for about 10 years, and despite all the encouragement, nothing happened. As I remember thinking at the time, why don't you bring them through to Glasgow for the weekend, and they'd probably go back pregnant. Pick up the sort of more positive vibe. Yeah. Anyway, they never did, and they suffered the consequences. The pandas are away back to China.
But
they must have been transgender pandas.
I would have thought so.
It's difficult to
Might have
tell.
been identifying as something else other than a panda.
A dog. Identify as a dog. No touching
Anything's possible. Anything's possible. And the cost.
Oh.
I mean, would Edinburgh have had to bear the cost of all that travel?
I think the Scottish government paid for it. Aye.
And the feeding of them. I mean, they must have had certain types of food that they had to eat and things like that.
Bamboo shoots.
Aye.
No, I've got to say, Tommy, there was something, it was about 2 years ago, I was listening to Radio 4, and it was something about books, you know, about a book thing, and this lady had written this book. She's a doctor, and she'd written a book, and it was among those, it was all quite funny things, and one of the sections was that pandas are the stupidest animals in the world. She says, remember, they're bears. They're a type of bear. Yeah. Bears can eat anything. They can eat anything. They can eat fish. They can eat meat. They can eat wee beasties. They can eat anything. But pandas are that fucking stupid that they find, you know, the bamboo places, you know, and they just eat them. But there's no much in bamboo. So they just got to keep eating them. So they just lie among the bamboo and just eat bamboo, and they've got to eat it all day, and then they sleep and eat the bamboo. Whereas they wandered about a bit, like the black bears and the brown bears and the Himalayan bears, they'd find other things to eat. Which was quite funny, but it was bang on, you know. Aye.
So, I mean, where are they going to get bamboo here?
There's probably tons of bamboo about, but they're getting them other food. That's what she was saying. In the zoos, they eat anything. They get them fish and all sorts of things. They eat it. Just in the wild, just think, oh, there's bamboo, that'll do us. Don't want to wander over there, I don't want to walk 50 metres. I have to chase something.
Plenty of Chinese restaurants that can tap. Excuse me,
But the fun,
The pandas are starving, mate. Any bamboo. Any
but I think the funniest thing I always thought was, even in Radio 4, I listened to Radio 4 all the time, and they were given out, when the time they could be pregnant, they were given daily bulletins about how are the pandas doing. You think there's any chance of, there could be a baby panda on the way? And they were quite hopeful for years, weren't they? And I think after a while, right, okay.
So can
They
I ask,
picked up the Edinburgh vibe here, just leave them. Send them home.
when they went back, did they ever have a baby when they went back, or did they just never have babies there
think
too?
Forever. I think the Edinburgh thing just took them over, They just chucked it. I've got no idea, Christine.
Yeah.
I hope they did. I hope they lived among lots of other pandas and they bred happily ever after.
It would seem unlikely though, wouldn't it? I mean, they wouldn't have a baby, wouldn't it? It would seem unlikely.
I don't know. But you've got to give Edinburgh credit for the zoo. The zoo is wonderful.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful place.
It's very busy as well.
And the things that they do now, that they're actually the research that they do, it's more than just a zoo.
Aye.
Yeah.
It's more than entertainment now.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
you went to Edinburgh Zoo just to see things
Animals
like
that you couldn't see
the
here,
duck-billed platypus.
Yeah, and
Well,
elephants
if you
and
could see it
camels
and all the things.
Uh-huh.
are there.
I went to, I'm not the best anyway, but I think it's quite funny. I was in a zoo, and it's a big, a really famous zoo in Germany, and it was kind of off season. I think it was about April or something. There was nobody about, and I'm walking about, and there's a petting zoo, and I can see it, and it's a wee gate, and it said, there's a sign that said Hunde verboten, and Hunde means dog. I said, dogs, I can't get this right. It can't be right. Dogs forbidden in a zoo, in the petting part of the zoo. So anyway, so I never thought any more of it. So one wanders in, and there's an inside and outside, a huge zoo. The animals have got everything they ever need. And this happened, there was a tiger inside, and it's inside bit, and there was a young couple with a retriever, and the retriever's barking at the tiger, and the tiger's just staring at it. Its tail's moving. I can imagine thinking, come on up and play with me. We can maybe play together. And anyway, the dog later on, I'm out watching the rhinos, and there's a fence, a stone wall about a metre high. That's all it was. And there's 4 or 5 rhinos, full-grown rhinos, all wandering about. And a couple with a dog come over, and the dog's standing up, and it's barking at the rhinos. I thought, I think I'll just move for here in case one of them takes up at this dog and just goes right through it.
Through the whole
I moved
fence.
away, nothing happened. It just seemed enormously irresponsible to me to have a dog in a zoo. You don't get them in the UK.
No.
I was at
I don't think
a
you would
party.
think to take a dog
Oh,
to a zoo,
I
would
couldn't
you?
believe
I
it.
mean,
And it actually does mean that. Hunter verboten does mean no dogs.
Yeah.
It does mean no dogs. So there you go.
Well, not talking about the zoo in Edinburgh. I ended up at a party in Edinburgh,
right.
in Carstorphine.
Yes.
Right.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how I got there, but I got there and we woke up in the morning, and I remember waking up and there was a guy hoovering. Right, that was the guy. This guy was hoovering. I don't know, and friends of ours was with Bill Ingalls, people like that Stuart and I know, and we ended up, and we actually ended up. We got up. The sun was shining. It was summer. I don't know what time in the morning it was, but this guy owned the house that we were in, and told us all to get out at that time in the morning, and we ended up, and we actually wandered in. This would be late 60s, this was about 68, right? And we wandered into the zoo, right? And at that time in the morning, the gates were open,
Right.
and it would be, say, I would imagine before 6 a.m, something like that, because there was not a soul around, and we went up and we were annoying sea lions and things like that.
You shouldn't have been in there,
We
probably,
shouldn't
right?
have been
at that
there.
time.
Paid your money.
No,
but it wouldn't be open.
We were
It was
just
till 6 in the morning.
wandering
No,
around the
trucks going in and
zoo
out, probably.
at that
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
and
yeah.
there was a button where with different languages that that you could press, and this was No, I was at that time wondering about the zoo, annoying sea lions and things like that. And we were there for, I don't know, say we were there for maybe an hour.
And nobody
no one
spotted you?
appeared, and we were and it was, we were going to say, you're saying, whatever it was, languages of French and German coming through, for information about the sea lions and things like that, and not a soul appeared.
There you go.
For all these.
I was there once with the family in the middle of the summer, and right up at the top of it, and there's fields, and there's got all different animals in it, like animals that are kind of, like zebras and that don't cause any grief, and kangaroos and things like that. And there was something going on right in front of us, and the fence was right next to us, behind us, and there was these... I hear this Glaswegian voice, this lassie going, "Oh, for fuck's sake, the big fucking giant rat, look, oh, fuck." And it was a coypoo.
That's right.
And it does look a bit ratty. And it was right behind her. She hadn't seen it, and it was like that much away from her, but on the other side of the fence, and she just about shit herself. I got a wee bit of a fright myself. I went, she fucking bolted. It's a big fucking rat.
That could have been me. That's exactly the kind of reaction that I
big innocent looking thing looking as if I'm not a rat.
So, getting back to a rivalry between Glasgow and Edinburgh, Google says that Glasgow is considered to be the friendlier, trendier and more risky. Would you say? More risky than Edinburgh. I think Edinburgh's very traditional, very formal. And Edinburgh's thought to be the better looking counterpart with less hustle and bustle.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Got to admit that is
well,
true.
yes and no. I think in the summer there's a lot of hustle and bustle.
But it's kind of happy, friendly. Although I was once there during the festival. I was working right up across that bridge, I can't remember what it's called, but right in the centre of it. Fuck, it's fine if you're wandering about, but you're going to work.
It's literally,
and it was a dead nice
shoulder.
day. It was a really lovely day, and there was drunk guys in tins of armour, suits of armour. Must have been meant to be like William Wallace, I don't know. But they were, if you ever go to like Rome or that, and you get guys dressed up in the full Roman costumes next to the Colosseum, it costs you like €10. I think they were saying, you can take a photo of me for £1, all rotten armour.
No thanks.
No.
So there is an old Scottish joke that says that Edinburgh boys came to Edinburgh for a laugh and went home in stitches. So that kind of, maybe does it sum up the fact that Glaswegians have got a good sense of humour?
Remember the story that you were telling me about the guy who's talking to the camera? That's brilliant.
So that was in Edinburgh. It was something I seen, actually. It must have been on Instagram. And so it's a very short clip, and it's just this guy who's obviously
American, Christine.
Aye. So he's on his TikTok or on his own social media platform, and he's saying, "Hey guys," very, very American. "What's up?" And he's about to say, "I'm in Edinburgh." And this guy's, a Glaswegian guy walks by and says, "Shut up, you fucking prick."
The culture of attaching to it.
So I just thought that's just perfect. That is just the best ever.
How did the guy react?
It just sort of went like that. Well, he would have no idea what the guy was saying for a starter, but he would
pick up on the aggression, probably.
He picked up on the aggression, definitely. Yeah.
There you point out the fact that it was a Glasgow person that walked by in Edinburgh. This is the sort of thing that there's not an opposite story, of an Edinburgh.
Yeah.
In Glasgow. No, Glasgow people go to Edinburgh.
We're more
Edinburgh people
metropolitan.
do not go. Edinburgh people don't come through
You said
here.
that the other day.
They
And
never come through here.
I was reading that there was an old sort of Glasgow poet that was saying, we don't have the thing about Edinburgh people that they have about us. And I think that is very true. And what you've just said demonstrates that, because I'm just not a lover of Edinburgh people, I'm afraid. But you can't deny it's a beautiful city. It's a beautiful city.
Billy Connolly said the most famous Hoffa Street in the world.
Hoffa Street?
Because Princes Street has nothing on the other side except the railway.
That's
You
true.
know, there's
That's
only
true.
only
That's
shops
true.
in one
That's
side.
true.
So he says that's everybody. As I say, there's no shops in that side from the right up that whole section
Yeah.
of the gardens, and then the railway line and the castle up there.
Because Billy Connolly once said, "There's more fun at a Glasgow funeral than there is at an Edinburgh wedding." That's one of the famous things that were said. But it was also said that years ago in the Industrial Times that Glasgow people were viewed as really doing the hard work because all the industry was in Glasgow, and by comparison to the snobbery of Morningside. I mean, I wonder if somebody else that's not Glaswegian or Edinburgh just stirs this pot.
I'm sure they do.
all
So
the
it's-
time.
I mean, we had Kelvinside and all these other places. I think working class people everywhere were just had the same struggles, you know. And I don't think any working class people in Edinburgh were better paid than anybody in Glasgow was. But there was more big industry, you know, harsh industries like foundries and things like that in Glasgow. And,
definitely
you know,
central belt. There was no
hard, terrible jobs, you know.
never known. It's you know, what was the breweries in Edinburgh were the big breweries in
Big
Edinburgh.
employers, aye.
Right. But I don't know. Heavy industry.
There bound to have been some, but no till it's
know of
nothing like
any.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a Glaswegian ignorance, but we don't know of any heavy industry we're known. Whereas you look at Glasgow and all the various things that were worldwide. Even you talk about Barrhead is almost Glasgow, and it's Shanks of Barrhead. They were the lavies in the Titanic.
Are they?
You know,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right. They went down there in the blooming.
There just wasn't another one, was there, at one point? Everything was Shanks.
Everything, you know,
That
Shanks
they had the
toilets
total monopoly.
were worldwide.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking one of the things you need to have for heavy industry is a river running through it. Edinburgh doesn't have a river running through it. Obviously, they're in the banks of a river, but there's no any because all heavy industry needs water, constant, huge supplies of water, so they wouldn't have it. You know, lucky for them. You know, who wants foundries in your doorstep?
It is said that, and I think we would agree, that Glasgow people are legendary for their hospitality and legendary for their wanting to tell their life stories to people and for helping people in need, whereby it's also said that if you were to arrive on the doorstep of anybody in Edinburgh at any time, they would say, "What?
You'll have had your tea. Yes,
So-
you'll have had your tea.
So,
We could get race relations people on here, you know. You
well,
carry
this
on
is
like
what
that.
is said. We're just
No,
quoting.
no.
So a few wee facts.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, exactly, Tommy. So there's a few wee facts and information here that Glasgow was voted the UK's friendliest city in 2022. That's only just last year. That the Glasgow accent is voted one of the sexiest in the UK according to Match.com. So, you look surprised at that.
I think that's
Tommy?
maybe
Oh, no,
I think that's maybe Kirsty Work they've been listening to. It's got a lovely accent. You know, you might see a lot of Glasgow women saying, "What do you mean you're finished, son? Fucking back up. Yeah,
No,
you're not finished till I tell you."
And
I want to have
also-
that in one of the rubber dogs.
And that Glasgow accent is the second hardest for Alexa to understand. And I think there's been loads and loads of wee videos that I've posted over the years of people
On lifts and things like that.
saying,
And lifts, fucking, like in Los Angeles, you go into a lift and any Scottish person doesn't know what you're saying. You say 11.
That was the classic. There's a sketch there. Was it Lemmy?
Oh, I love Lemmy.
Oh, he did
Yeah.
that. That was 11.
Did he?
He did it, and that. He goes, and eventually he tries all the different the different accents. So he goes 11. 11? 11? Oh,
Aye.
11. And eventually, he's screaming at it, 11, 11, you bastard, 11. So, and which is, it's again, Glaswegian, it's Glaswegian humour, because you develop it for there. Now, but the Edinburgh accent is so soft and lilting. Aye, it's very...
I think it's quite soft
It's
as well. what you
it's soft
said.
and lilting.
And
I would say
hard to hear it. I mean, I worked in Edinburgh for 3 years, and with very few, I have to say, Edinburgh people in the team that I worked in, mostly international and European people. But I remember being told, you're actually quite good at your job. It's just a shame you're from Glasgow. So, that's, I think it actually makes you behave even, but maybe it's me, makes you behave even worse, because it's as if you've just been counted out. You don't really matter, certainly not to them. But having said that, I did work with a nice couple of guys who were just ordinary Edinburgh guys. They were not Morningside types, and you could not have met nicer people. They were just the same.
I've got to say,
to be the same completely.
I lived and worked in Falkirk for quite a long time, and a lot of the people were really, really dismissive of Glasgow people, or just as if you're a schemie or something. You're just not to be taken seriously. Although the Glasgow accent scared the shit out of them.
I think so. I said to say it's sexy. I couldn't imagine anybody.
Maybe, I'm saying maybe somebody like Kirsty Walk, who I think comes from Glasgow, and she's got an educated accent. Yeah. She's got a lovely accent. Mm-hmm. But the normal harsh accents like the women we know, no. I remember I told you, my wife Jelly and I, but we were watching this thing in Channel 5, one of these fucking titillating sex shows, and it was about the models, the sex dolls that were getting made, and it cost fortunes, right? And the two of us were watching this. Of course, you never see any sex in these things. It's just fucking to get people to watch it, Anyway, so and it was quite interesting. We're spending fortunes. And the cheapest one was $5,000. Anyway, and they tried, like Kirsten says, about the accents. They tried all sorts of different accents, and they said that the Scottish accent was the most popular. Where did they come up with this? That's what they said, and they put a kind of quite a soft Scottish accent in it, but no, like harsh Scottish accent.
But I mean, there are people that
you're going to be long. You might
get to fuck. Don't look at me like
but you're fucking haunting me, son.
Don't you slip the mitt on me about fucking problems here.
It comes. It's said that Edinburgh is much more sing-song the whole time. I can, we were down there, up, down there. Yeah. Glasgow's hard at the back of the throat. You fucking joke, pal.
Yeah. I'm not, father. No.
I was actually thinking about that joke earlier about, Edinburgh boys coming to Glasgow and thinking, if that was maybe like 20, 30 years ago, where Glasgow was less sort of cosmopolitan than it is now, that an Edinburgh accent would have stood out like a sore thumb. And you would just get battered for that, wouldn't you? You would just get battered for speaking, I would think, because it was just in pubs, it would just all be Glaswegian people, wouldn't it? There wouldn't really be a representation of anybody else, so you would.
I'll tell you a story about how things have come on. About 15 years ago, I was out with Geraldine, and she was with her cousin, whose friend had a what do you call the thing when you sing along? What's it called?
Karaoke.
It's a karaoke. He's a karaoke set up in this pub in near where I worked in Argyll Street. Quite a kind of rough bar. And anyway, so we goes there.
Is it the Alpine Lounge by any chance?
I can't mind. I really don't know. Anyway, it was there are a lot of really nice pubs there. It's a bit like kind of rougher ones. And here, so we goes there, and she's got this friend who this guy who's gay, and he had just finished. He'd done 6 months as the principal singer in Les Mis. I've never seen Les Mis, so I don't know what the character is, but he'd done 6 months in London. Top guy, right?
Wow.
So he does, it's quite funny. He does an Elton John song. He actually sings in a karaoke, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, right? So I'm just clapping. The place is mobbed. It was at the weekend, just clapping. And you go, right, that was brilliant. That was absolutely brilliant. Right, next up we've got Davy. Oh, Davy's got enough sense not to come forward. And then, okay, Susie.
No.
Okay, we'll take a break. Right. So the guy who's singing, he's got his partner. It's this wee guy, and he looked like an extra out of the Magnificent Seven. I says to him, he was American. I says, "Are you a Mexican?" He goes, "No, but my parents are Mexican." Oh, brilliant. He's talking away, very, very soft spoken. And I said, "Wait, what is it you do?" He says, "I'm a soldier." I said, "In London?" He goes, "I said, where do you work?" So he says, "I work in the embassy." I says, "In Grosvenor Square." I said, what rank are you? He says, "I'm a captain." He could probably have wiped out everybody. This wee guy could probably have wiped out everybody in the pub. So I'm talking away and talking. He's very soft spoken. So I get around and he says, right, I'll go up and get around the drinks. So I walks up with him in case Andy, gives him a hard time. He could have killed them all anyway, but just maybe to soften things up if they were going to give him a hard time. So he walks up to the bar and he starts speaking. The barmaid said, "Are you a Mexican?" And these older guys when he says, "Aye, we were just thinking that. Are you a Mexican?" Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Just walked away. So I mean, these kind of things years before, you'd hope that would have been the case, but I very much doubt if there would have been. So things had moved on.
It depends maybe what pub you go to as well.
So the difference again between tourism, because there's the amount of you're very, very unlikely to see a Mexican in Glasgow as you would, as there are no nationalities that you wouldn't see in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
No. Absolutely,
Yeah.
that's
So
it.
And that's what makes it special. You've got to say that. I mean, for all that, the local people must hate, well, unless it's their job to be involved when the big festival's on, but to be there, they must hate it.
I think they do hate it.
But it's
it's
a magnificent sight. You've got to say that. And
that's
all the shows that are on, and the tattoos.
The
brilliant.
tattoo.
I've been to see that twice. It's
I've
just
been to see
brilliant.
it too. It's brilliant. I would go back any time to the tattoo because I kind of in my mind thought it was the same thing you saw every year, but it's an entirely different show every year, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and it is a nice vibe.
Oh, it's a great vibe.
It doesn't feel like Edinburgh; it just feels like an international city, doesn't it? Because you're not really hearing a lot of Edinburgh accents. You're hearing everything else.
That's
everything
all over.
else,
It's the bus tours, the open top bus tours, run right through 365 days a year in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Whereas in Glasgow, it stops at some, what
probably
the
September,
summer.
yeah.
After the summer, it kind of stops then.
But I mean, I'm probably thinking, I wonder how long that bus has actually been going in Glasgow. Because there's never been anything like the amount of tourists coming to Glasgow that there has been, and it's a fairly recent thing, is it not?
I've been in both. I was in both within about 3 weeks of each other, and I've only done it once. And I was quite disappointed with the Edinburgh one. Obviously, there's a beautiful bits from about it, but other than the centre. And I'm not doing this to criticise it. The Glasgow one I thought was actually more interesting because Glasgow's much bigger and it's more diverse and it's set up. But the centre of Edinburgh is beautiful. But other than that, there's not a great deal to see. Yeah.
Plus the fact that I think Edinburgh as well. I've never been round the Edinburgh one or the Glasgow, but the Edinburgh, the people of Leith. Don't consider themselves as Edinburghers.
Pardon me.
Right.
Is that what they're actually called, Edinburghers?
I think so.
I think
that what they're
probably
They're
is.
Edinburgers, right.
I've heard people saying that. I just
I
laugh.
think they're
I didn't think it was
Edinburgers,
a
right.
word.
What would you be, a Lithonian?
I've got no idea at all.
Don't know.
Well, it's like a Paisley thing, isn't it?
Right,
Yeah,
but it's not
like Bishop
that's
Briggs,
true.
right, but for some reason, I feel that Leith looks to me like, because Edinburgh is not particularly, as you say, not particularly big compared to Glasgow.
Yeah.
It doesn't sprawl like Glasgow. I just think that Leith, which is part of Edinburgh, it's like it because you just.
Well, there's no difference.
Leith Walk starts at the end of Princes Street.
It does. Yeah.
So therefore, you think that's you're in Leith there, but it's Edinburgh.
As you say, it's like the Paisley thing.
Paisley.
It's like that, Paisley buddies and
Paisley
don't
buddies,
want,
aye.
and don't want to be associated with Glasgow.
Bears Den would be for Glasgow, Bishop Briggs
no.
for Bishop Briggs.
Spam Valley.
People-
That's what it used to be called.
Aye, people,
back in the day.
that's right.
Yeah.
Like, people who stay in the nicer areas. But in Edinburgh, Edinburgh don't have. They've got one big scheme. What's it called again? Kind of
Something Hill.
Sight
Hill.
It's not. It's
That's
some
one of
lakes. No, I think there is a Sight Hill in Edinburgh.
There is a Sight Hill in Edinburgh. There's another one.
There's one near
Does
the
it
one
begin
near
with
the
a P?
prison. It's a big one near the prison.
Sutton.
Aye,
Sutton
Sutton prison.
yeah.
Aye, there's one near
Oh,
there.
that.
I think it begins with a P. Paul something.
Oh,
Paul.
Paul Noon. Is
No.
it Paul? No,
I don't
no,
know.
no, no.
I
no
should know
Paul
it.
Noon.
I should know
Aye.
a lot of
I think you're right.
Yeah.
But they didn't have the same. They had Livingston was their kind of overspill.
Yes.
I think the same we had the Cumbernauld, Glasgow had Cumbernauld, but all the schemes that we had all over Glasgow, where you've got, Drumchapel away at that side, to whereas the other side of Glasgow of Easterhouse and Cranhill and all that, all these places.
Pilkington.
Pilkington.
Is
I
that
don't
what
know.
it's called?
That sounds
Something like
it.
that.
Sounds
Something
like
that.
it. Whereas they don't. Not that I know of, but I don't think. But you see the news, and in the news, there's always Easterhouse, Glasgow. Things happen in deprived areas,
Yes.
unfortunately.
No matter what your city is.
Right. So there's much more crime that's reported that's in these areas, whereas you don't hear much in Edinburgh.
I've got to say though,
But
I
there
remember.
is a drugs issue.
Oh, there always
Edinburgh,
was. There always was.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you one thing I've got to say that praises the whole area. Leith. I remember I'd never in my life been to Leith until the early 80s, and I was there. I stayed in Leith for a wee while, and it was an absolute tip of a place. It was as run down. The bit I was in was about as run down as you can ever imagine, with the remains of old dock buildings and warehouses. It was awful. Yet now, even now, maybe even 20 years ago, first seeing it getting better, and it must be the best example of an area being upgraded than there is anywhere else in Scotland.
It's
It's
really
stunning,
good.
but they've done a great job of it.
Really
It
nice,
looks beautiful. Quite kind of modern tenements and all different types of houses, and it's absolutely beautiful.
Well, the Ocean Centre, have you been to Britannia?
I've been a couple of times.
I went
Britannia's
2 years ago.
great.
I thought it was really disappointing.
No.
Yeah.
I've never been on the boat, but I used to go by
You're
it
talking
quite a
about the
lot.
boat? Yeah.
Aye.
There was no furniture in it. There was
Do
actually
you know
nothing
the
in it.
Well, the furniture and
It was all taken out, wasn't it? The Queen took it out. That's what
well,
I heard anyway.
no, but since when?
I'm talking about right at the very start, so
the
it
90s.
wasn't long there. I went with an association thing I used to belong to, and we went to have a look at it.
Right.
And I thought it was very Spartan.
I think it was Spartan. I think you're right, and as much as, but there were a few items. They had 2 chairs that I remember that in my house as when I was younger. There was 2 chairs, and they were like round chairs, and it was woven red and white plastic on a black metal frame with thin legs. Right, and it said, I remember them say, there'll be information packs that you get with the headphones, and it said that these came the Queen from the Queen Mother. They came from the Queen Mother's apartment, and they'd put them in there, and I thought, geez, we were royalty in Penally. We were royalty, because
Behind your back,
yeah,
you didn't even know.
That's it. That's it. Where would she get them? And we just think, I'm just thinking, what was the I'm just trying to think of the fun. What was the furniture shop? Then?
Probably the Cooperative. Probably that one in Springburn Road.
Hope they get the divvy.
Where wee Peter worked. Wee Peter the
God,
tailor.
I can see that so
Can you?
clearly.
Right.
Oh, my mum said it a lot.
Aye. I've still got marks on my back when he's pulling the jacket. It's a great fit on you, son. I want a modern
Loved by
suit.
all the women.
I want a modern suit. Yeah, you can do a modern
This is a modern suit. What are you talking about?
It was designed in
Sold one to your
1955.
dad last week. What are you saying? Okay, I think we've exhausted our subjects, but we like to keep things interesting and to talk about different things each episode. So we'll call a halt there. Thank you very much to everybody who's watching. We really appreciate it. We are on Facebook now if you'd like to come and follow us and find out everything that's going on with Unmuzzled Conversations. Stuart is going to kill me if I don't tell you that we're also on TikTok. And also you can find the podcasts on Spotify and YouTube. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.